Hey folks, welcome back to Car Show and Tell. I'm your host Tim the Toolman, and we're back at the Don't Kill Car Shelter. And as I promised everybody a short while ago in the last video, we would be back to put a new wheel bearing in our Project C4. So, what we're going to do today, we're going to pop a new wheel bearing in there. We've got some brake upgrades we can do while we're in, and we're going to clean that wheel well up. Give it a little detail, a little dressing. So hopefully it'll be clean, stay cleaner for a little bit while longer while I use it. So I don't want to stand here and talk anymore. So let's get to it. Okay. All right. Here we go. I got the car and got our parts and our tools and our cleaning supplies and our rags already lined up so that we can get to work here. So all I gotta do is find you guys a place to watch. Let's go down a little bit. Okay, and I'm gonna start here at the beginning by jacking this car up. If you've never jacked up a C4 before, at first it can appear to be a little tricky, but it really isn't if you know where to go. So let me show you. We're gonna put you guys up underneath the car. We're gonna be right in front of our tire. I want you to look at this right here. These two pieces right here, and this is our frame rail. This comes right here, our frame rail comes down, these two pieces come over here towards the rocker panel, and this area right here and underneath the frame rail is an excellent place to jack the car up in the rear. So I like to use a little piece of scrap wood that I have here and pop it right underneath here, just like so, with the jack under it to spread the load out a little bit. And that's where I jack this thing up at in the rear. So let me sit you back here. Oops, come on now. And get this done. If you couldn't tell by now, I can be a little particular about how I do things. So I like to make sure that it's kind of perfectly lined up. Where I want it. More towards under the frame rail than towards the rocker panel. That's where I want it. That's good. And then I roll my fat ass up off the ground. There we go. Alright, now that that's in position, we're going to take our lug nuts off here. I take a 19mm socket. And the first thing we do is there's plastic caps that cover all of these lug nuts. They're just kind of fragile. I just give them a little turn with a speed wrench. Alright. And then I can just take the socket and spin them the rest of the way off. And usually I just toss them in the seat of the car and they're ready to go back on. next order of business is to break the lugs. Not break them, but to break their hold on the leg stud. And I want to do this carefully so as to not scratch the wheel at all. Okay. I just have my breaker bar with an extension on it. And the last wheel is a locking lug nut that I have to get the key for. This bag. There we go. And we gotta line this sucker up however it belongs. Not there. Apparently not. No, is that it? No. Sometimes I feel like they're gonna fit, but then they don't. I can't tell if that's it or not. Ah, there we go. All right. Wait, that's the wrong way, dummy. No, that's the wrong way. There we go. Okay. Now, take the weight off. We were using the weight of the car to prevent the tire from turning. There we go. Alright. Back to my speed wrench. It's awfully squeaky. Needs to oil it. Huh. What do I have handy? I love that. It's got oil in it. A little bit of that on. That's squeaky. Very good. There we go. And then I do the same thing with these. Now I know they can't get kicked across the driveway or wherever. This out of the way. I'm going to put a couple of blocks under here, and I'm just going to set the rear knuckle right down on those blocks. switch. Okay. Forward. That looks good right there. All right. Leans a bit. Whenever I do this, it's not going to make me happy. Oh well, as long as it holds the car up, right? If it leans a bit, it leans a bit. It's not going to go anywhere. I don't believe they'll go flipping out of there anytime soon. Don't you? I can use this. There we go. That's level though. Ah, better. More trash. Okay. I guess I should have taught you guys how to check for wheel bearing play while I was in here. I think with the wheel on it would have been much easier to tell. Essentially, you grab the wheel top and bottom and see if it wiggles. And if the wheel wiggles, you got wheel bearing play. Take it side to side, but then again, you'll be checking too. There's other links here that you can check side to side to make sure that the toe links don't have any play in them or slop in them or whatever. Alright, let's get this apart. I'm going to take this cotter pin out of here, and then we have our bearing nut retainer, or our stub shaft nut retainer. So these are just hammered over in a curve. I'm just going to bend them back out straight, like so. Same thing with this side. If I can get a hold of it well enough. There we go. That's out. Our nut retainer's out. Toss those in the parts pan. This is a 36mm nut. So you're going to have a big axle socket to get this apart. Like so. Get my breaker bar. They're on here fairly tight. The e-brake isn't strong enough to hold it. Hold on. We'll put it on a little tighter. son stand on the brake pedal. That a little. There we go. Let me go get my son. I'll be right back. Okay. He's sitting inside here on the brake pedal. Let's see if we can do this now. There we go. Thank you, son.
That it?
That's it.
Okay.
Can you release the emergency brake while you're there? Thank you. All right. All right. Put
Is
that.
this thing in neutral or what?
No, it has to be in reverse when you park it.
Okay.
Oh, no, I did leave it in neutral. Okay. It's fine. It's not going anywhere.
Okay. Well, I just don't want to really see this thing go anywhere without anybody in it.
It's not. Okay.
Okay.
It's level. Okay. So now we have to start from the caliper and work our way in to get the rotor off. Okay.
Would you like me to go back inside or?
You can do what you want to do, but I'm shooting this, so.
Okay.
Here's our caliper. There's a couple of bolts right here at the top, down here on the bottom. I think they're 17 mil. No, those are, the bolts are something like 15 millimeter, and these caliper pins are, I think, a 17 millimeter hex. And you have to hold the caliper pin with an open end wrench and remove the bolt with a ratchet and a socket. So let's do that. And I think I actually have this ready to go. Look at me, all organized or something. Going the right way again. Wrong way. Yeah, I'm going the right way. Sometimes it's tough to remember, folks. Maybe I shouldn't have taken it out the whole way. Pad's already falling out. That didn't take much. Also, I know you're not supposed to hit a ratchet with a hammer, but sometimes I do. And sometimes it doesn't help. And there she goes. Got a leaf. It's an oak leaf. There. There's our other bolt. I'm just going to sit this right there on top of the knuckle. Looks like a nice temporary home for that. We can take our pads out. cramping already. That didn't take long. I need more potassium. And these are still the original brake pads for this car. And I can tell because it still says Repco in the pad. You see where it's stamped? That's who sold Chevrolet these brake systems. Unfortunately, I don't really see it much on the pads on this side, but the pads on the opposite side of the car are beginning to fall apart. These actually look good. The pad material's still a solid chunk. But the pads on the opposite end of the car appear to be cracking up. The pad material looks like it's splitting. I don't know how clearly you can see that. Of course, that could also just be dirt. I don't know. I didn't bother to clean the pads. So, who knows? Anywho, they're 36-year-old brake pads, so even if they were still good, how much do I really want to trust 36-year-old brake pads? You know. I'm not exactly known for making the smartest moves in life, but I do have common sense. It's probably too old. Let me bring you guys up here. Get a little bird's eye view, I think. Alright. See what I see. Okay. Here's, oops. This is our caliper mounting bracket right here. This is the top bolt for our caliper mounting bracket. Down below here, this bracket mounts our emergency brake cable using the bottom bolt of the caliper mounting bracket. So it'll be tough to see. That bottom bolt will be behind this bracket. It'll be down here on the inside. I can feel it. So those two bolts must come out next. I think they were 18 millimeter. So loose, so I can get a socket on it. This one's a little harder to get to. Being in here, can't really get a socket on it per se. So you'll do the best you can with a box end wrench. Hopefully I'm not in your way. How's everybody else's weekend going so far? Hopefully you got some sort of project you're getting some work done on. And if not, well, hopefully you're relaxing and enjoying your free time. I saw a play, high school play last night. That was enjoyable. I enjoyed that. That helped. I need a 15, not a 15. Where's my, oh, over here behind me. 18 millimeter. Unless you're an ex-military type. What do they call that? Mike. Phonetic alphabet thing. play with grenade launchers. They weren't 40 millimeter grenades. They were 40 Mike. I think Ike felt a little left out. Mike. These used to be some of my favorite candies when I was a little kid. Mike and Ike's. They're small, they get a lot of flavor, and they don't melt in your pocket like M&M's and candy bars in the summertime. You can take them anywhere. You can ride the bike all day and enjoy some Mike and Ike's. God, I used to ride my bicycle all over the place. All my kids want to do is sit and play video games. Bought them bicycles are barely used. Are beginning to protest this treatment. Keep telling my kids, don't get old. It's a trap. This is going to take a little while, this bolt, so I'll pause it. Alright. Got the bolt out. Took our bracket off here. Set that aside in our parts. Remove this bolt from this bracket. Put that in our parts. And now we should be able to take our brake rotor off. That looks like it. There we go. Ta-da! Alright. There's our brake rotor. 11.5 inch on the early C4s. And they use a drum style emergency brake behind it. This is the 84 to 87 arrangement. I think the rotors at all four corners are 11.5 inches in diameter. And yeah, I'm not so sure if I would call them adequate when you're moving at an insane amount of speed. They were a little less than confidence inspiring when I tested them on a closed course. Absolutely. So we will be making a few upgrades while we're in here. Upgrade gonna get his money. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch Idiocracy. God, that's a hilarious movie. Anyway, I'd really like an extra big ass taco right now. So, we're down to our e-brake and our hub and bearing assembly. One thing I forgot to do is take this washer off here. We need to make sure we hang on to that. We're going to need it later. And now all of this is held together. This e-brake casting and brake mounting apparatus in this bearing assembly. It's all held together with 3 Torx bolts that are installed from the back side. There's one behind this protrusion here. You can see the end of it sticking out right between there. If I can get it in the shot. right? Yeah, the shadow. Yeah, it's kind of difficult to see. Right underneath that brake drum clip, you can see the end of the threaded shank of the bolt. So here inside this protrusion, and then one up here, right in about here, and then a third one down around this side. It's down in here. Okay, they're all on the inside of this knuckle. And I don't know what the General Motors service manual says about taking this apart, or the Haynes manual, or the Chilton manual, because I don't have a manual for this car. I don't know what they say about taking it apart. I guess they would probably suggest that you remove the rear half shafts at the same time and inspect the U-joints and so on and so forth. And, well, while that's a good idea, and if you have the time to do it, you know, check everything out. I don't think I'm going to take the time to do that today. I'm going to opt for the quick and dirty here. So let me show you how I'm going to go about getting that done. And I don't know how well you guys will be able to see. I'll have to try to set the camera up under the car. Man, that should be fun. Okay, so I don't know if I've spoken about horrible freight tools in the past. Harbor Freight. Not a big fan of them. I guess they've gotten better. But I remember trying things from Harbor Freight, different tools. Well, going 20 years ago, I guess. Pittsburgh stuff, or Central Pneumatic, or what have you. And very quickly learned that stuff's, at least back then, junk. So I tended to shy away from them ever since. But I did pick up a set of these. Pittsburgh Torx, Impact Torx set. I don't know whose design they ripped off for these, but this is the only time I've ever used them for this car. So I can't speak to their longevity, but up until this point, they seem to work. So we'll leave it at that. If you have, they have to be these ones with the long skinny shank, okay? If you have the other type that are shorter and fatter around, okay, they have a fat shank and then a small bit on the end, there isn't enough room to fit past everything back here on the inside of that knuckle to reach the head of those Torx bolts and run them out. So they actually have to be this sort of long skinny shape to be able to reach back in there and find the head of the fasteners and work. So that can be a little frustrating. Alright, I'm going to put you guys on pause again, climb underneath here and see what I can show you. Okay, we're back underneath the car, and it's going to be impossible for me to fit in here with my tools and my camera and actually try to get these bolts taken out. Focus. But you can see the head of one bolt there on the bottom side. As I move around here, you can see there's the head of another one. Oh, I can't even move my arm around here to point it out. There's the head of the second one there. You can barely see it. And the third one is sort of up top there. Come on. Focus, damn you. Let me move it again. Is that between there? I don't even know what I'm filming. I can't even see the camera. It's up there. There it is. There's the third head. So it's just going to be impossible for me to get the tools, camera, and everything back here and remove these on camera. So I will say that The bolts have a washer on them, and it's probably going to require me spinning this shaft, climbing in and out, and from underneath to the outside to turn the shaft a little bit just to get enough clearance to run those bolts out between, the yoke of the half shaft and the yoke of the stub shaft. As you can see right there, there's a little bit of interference there. I can run that backwards, but the head of the bolt is going to hit the yoke of the stub shaft. So it's going to require that I turn the shaft a little bit to line it up, remove one bolt, turn the shaft to line a second bolt head up and remove that one, and then turn it a third time. So I'll be doing a little bit of, it'll be a little bit of a Chinese fire drill, in and out, in and out, in and out. So I'm just going to put y'all on pause again, and we'll pick up then when those 3 bolts are out. All right. You're still with us. You're still here. Okay. We're done. No, we're not done. Where am I? Had to go take a break. Okay, full disclosure. Those bottom 2 bolts in the wheel bearing, they came out from underneath. The top bolt, however, I had to Helen Keller that. Had to Helen Keller that last one. Okay, if you don't know what that means, it's like working deaf and blind. Okay, the head of the bolt's back in here where I can't reach with my fingers and feel. So I had to slide the tool back in here, and what you didn't see was the 40 minutes or so, 40 or so minutes, that's what it felt like. Me trying to get this lined up in the hex of that bolt. Working by braille, basically, and then trying to slip the impact wrench up in there to get on that tool. If yours are as tight as mine, they're not coming out with hand tools. You're going to need an impact tool of some sort. I don't know if it would be easier to use a pneumatic version of one of these with a hose and try to sneak that up here, rather than one with a giant battery attached to the bottom of it. I get the feeling either way it's a huge pain in the ass, but it's out. So hopefully this will just come out of here now. Still catching my breath. Well, there we have it. Bearing out. Don't see an O-ring on that one. No O-ring on that one. This doesn't actually look like a GM bearing. This looks like a replacement. It's a little crunchy when you turn it. It feels a bit crunchy. If you hear a bunch of noise, we talked about diagnosing bad wheel bearing earlier. You know, if you lift the tire up and down or wiggle it side to side and there's a lot of play in it, it's likely a bad wheel bearing. Right? The same could be said for noise. If you hear a droning sound coming from a particular corner of the car, it's likely a wheel bearing. Or if you turn the wheel and it makes crunchy noises, probably a wheel bearing. And that one's, or if you put your hands on it and it feels crunchy, it doesn't feel smooth when it turns round and round, likely a wheel bearing. Yeah, there's play in this one. Just when I turn the flange And the hub by hand, I can feel play in it. So that was getting to be quite loose. I don't know what brand that is. It doesn't appear to be a stock GM bearing. I can't make any determination what brand it was. It was replaced before though. 3237 AC. Maybe it's an AC Delco part. I'd have to look that up. 3237 AC is part number stamped here. Who knows? Anyway, it's bad and it's out. And now we can move on. So this thing just clips to the e-brake lever right here. Okay, so you can just pull that right off there. And we can disassemble this separately and clean it. So I'm going to set this entire e-brake assembly off to the side. We'll clean that and rebuild it in a little while. There's the glass bolt. There we go. It's out. So, let me pick that up before I lose it. Wherever it went. There, as I see it. Okay, set this off to the side with the other. The bolts all came out nice and clean. So, just give them a quick wipe off. And won't have to worry about anything when I go to put them back in. Put a little bit of Loctite on them and put them back in. Just like to wipe any shavings or dirt off the end of the threads. Alright. Get my tool out of here. We're going to move on to the cleaning part. You can see everything's kind of crusty. Got some brake dust all over it. A lot of dirt from where I work. I don't know if I've talked about where I work before, but I work at a steel mill. And so the entire mill is just covered in refractory dust. And you know, when you drive your cars through there, it gets all over everything. And I try not to drive this too often, but every now and then I don't have a choice. It's got to come with me. Oh, I forgot. This little Teflon washer is what this is. It's a Teflon covered washer, and we're going to get that out of here. Set that off to the side. I'll have to grease that and put it back later. And here's our knuckle ABS sensor. You can tell because it's got metal shavings stuck to it. There's a magnet in here. Okay. But like I go about cleaning all this dust and dirt out. I don't know when the last time this was cleaned. It was probably quite a while ago. So why not give it a thorough cleaning? Try to get it looking better. You know, I like things clean in my cars. So here's what I'm going to use first. We'll get our Castrol Super Clean. Dissolves grease. Great grease cutter, dirt remover. I love the stuff. And I don't even bother to cut this anymore. I pretty much just use it straight. Right into my garden sprayer. Wind is picking up. It's gonna be a windy night tonight. Oh, heartburn. don't think I'll actually use that much. But put a pretty good amount in there. More than enough for what I need to do. Oh, come on. Whenever I bend over for a while, it gives me heartburn. So it tends to happen pretty frequently when I'm out here working on stuff. So forgive me for all the strange noises coming out of me. All right. Let's take it back here. Pump my garbage sprayer up. I'm just going to really liberally coat everything in here, top to bottom, inside, front to back, without spraying it directly in my face. Down here, under there, shock absorber, control arms, right, knuckle. Stuff tastes wonderful. Get a little bit of after spray right in the mouth while I'm talking. Get my brake caliper hosed pretty well. And I should have put rubber gloves on, and I didn't think about it. Forgot about that. I do have some ready to go. And they sit there in a box. Okay. Anything particularly covered in grease, especially this camber link, it's really coated. Alright, a little well liner one more time, just for good measure. Okay. Let me get some of those gloves. I should have paused this. Hold on. Alright. I got my gloves on. Take a scrub brush, clean one. This is all I had some time to sit. I missed a spot. Back to the cleaner. Well, I had a little time to sit and go to work. There we go. And I just proceed to scrub everything. Really. That's all there is to that. Nothing too difficult. You know? If there's some road tar or something, I have a gallon of lacquer thinner here. It works pretty easy, pretty well for dissolving that and wiping it away. So whatever spots I have road tar smeared up in here, I'll scrub that off with lacquer thinner. The rest of it just gets cleaned with super clean. And when I say I scrub everything, I do mean everything. Scrub every fastener in, square inch. Okay? I don't want to bore any of y'all with that. So, I also have a paintbrush that I use to get into the finer places. So, I'll pause this while I finish my scrubbing, and I'll pick up when I'm done there. Alright, we're back. You probably can't tell, but everything was sprayed out with the cleaner. Focus. And then brushed out with a nylon bristle brush. Scrubbed down with the super clean. I was about to say simple green, not simple green, super clean. So everything got scrubbed down with that, and it blackened everything. You know, it cuts all the grease and whatnot. So refilled my garden sprayer once already with just hot tap water, and I've already come through here once with the hot tap water and just sprayed everything down again, agitated everything, rinsed as much of the dirt off as I possibly could. And that's the first time I've done this. I'm going to do this again, one more time, with hot water and the brushes and rinsing everything out. It's got a lot of dirt off. This was completely covered in grease, that camber link, or toe link. It was completely covered in grease, and peeled all that old grease off and cleaned the rest of it. It's cleaned up pretty well. So let me back this up. I'll just spray this down a second time. Start that. Scrubbing it all down again. Pump it up. There we go. Really hose it down well. Just hose down every surface. And I've scrubbed every surface under here already. When I say every surface, I basically mean everything. Everything but the exhaust. I didn't scrub the muffler. Everything else did get scrubbed and rinsed out. And I've made sure I cleaned my brushes in between. Obviously, you want a clean brush when you're doing this rinsing. If you start rinsing it with a dirty brush, you just spray more dirt around. You know, it takes a little bit of common sense here. This isn't it's not glorious work. I'm not doing this because I love it. This is just regular old cleaning. That's all we're doing here. And I don't know, you guys, maybe you don't want... I like to have my cars clean inside and outside, upside down. I like them clean. I think it makes them much more easy to service in the future. So, it's my car. I like to come in and scrub everything down. Get it clean. Keep it looking good. Looks better. Think it works better. It's easier to work on in the future. I don't know about you guys. I kind of hate crawling out from underneath of something, looking like the creature from the Black Lagoon. I prefer to come out fairly as clean as when I went in. Doesn't always work out that way, but that's why I keep everything clean. I don't know, I guess I've been having a identity crisis of sorts lately. I've always, let me think here. Charles Dickens' novel, A Tale of Two Cities, begins with the sentence, "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times." now that I'm getting older, I think I'm just sort of less enthusiastic about these sorts of tasks. It's never hurt as much. Like my body's feels as if my body is beginning to betray me, and the older I get, the more things begin hurting. My back hurts, my hips hurt, my knees hurt, everything that bends hurts. And, so I find myself becoming less and less enthusiastic about crawling up under a car, back out from underneath, back up underneath, and back out from underneath, doing that sort of thing 9 or 10 times in a day. But this has always sort of been my identity. I've always been a car guy. This is always a term I've identified with. I've always sort of been that walking encyclopedia automechanica, for lack of a better term, with the guy that knows all of these obscure, pointless facts about different cars and different automakers, whatnot. So it's sort of been like I said, a bit of an identity crisis of sorts as of late. I still get out here and do this stuff. I just feel it for a lot longer. I missed some the first time. Feel it for a lot longer than I used to when I get finished. What do you guys think? You guys suffer from the same problems that I do like that? Be interested to know how you guys feel about it. More ladies, if you're into this sort of thing. That's actually pretty cool if you are. Be that cooler if you were into cars. Alright, alright, alright. It's Matthew McConaughey's last 3 movies. Alright, alright, and alright. Anywho. Anybody else think he was going to starve himself to death in Dallas Buyers Club? Well, I guess that was the point, to look unhealthy, but damn. He looked unhealthy. Great actor, though, I guess, you know. So you guys get this. Spraying it all down, rinsing it all off, and repeat until you've kind of rinsed all the dirt off. So I'm sure you don't want to hear any more of my talking. So I'm going to pause this again until I'm done with this part. Alright, I'm going to have to wrap this up quickly. Here's where we're at. Everything's been rinsed down approximately 3 times. Scrubbed and rinsed 3 times. Everything's pretty clean now. But we've had a turn in the weather. It doesn't really look like it in the camera. Yeah, you can see it. The skies got dark. The wind picked up. And it appears we're about to have a storm. So I want to wrap this up for today with one last quick thing here. And I'm going to turn this down if I can. Come on, loosen up. There we go. Whoop. There's that brake. Here's our emergency brake assembly. And I do want to scrub and clean this part here. So if you're not sure how to get this apart, I'm going to make it really easy for you. 2 screws right here. Very good. Okay, buddy. Thanks for helping put that stuff away. You want to grab my wallet, then when I wrap this up, we'll go get gas and oil. I'll take these 2 screws out here. Okay. This piece comes off with it. And then you can just reach around the camera. Turn these. Come on, squeeze them and turn them if you can. You Usually they'll just turn it. There we go. A pair of pliers can help. So I'll lose this. There we go. Okay. I don't want to lose my parts. So I'm going to put those in a Ziploc bag here and throw them in the front seat of the car for safekeeping. There we go. And then that just comes off in one piece. And this bit of steel comes off here. This lever remains in place. Okay? So, I'm going to soak that for a little while inside the house in some super clean and give it a thorough scrub. There's my other pin. And I'll just wash the rest of this stuff with some soap and water. And then reassemble this all. And that'll be it for the day. We'll pick this up again in the next video installment. Woo! Getting windy. We'll pick this up again in the next video installment. I don't know what I'll call it. But this video is just over an hour long, so that's long enough. I'm sure you guys don't want to sit through any more of this. We'll get the reassembly done another day, maybe tomorrow. We'll see. Anywho, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you watching and joining us today. Hope you learned something. What not to do. Oh, wait. Hey, I got it backwards. What to do? Maybe you learned what to do. Maybe you learned what not to do. Either way, hopefully you got, a little education in there. Learn a little bit of something. Alright, guys. Well, I'm going to get out of here before I get blown away. Get back in the house. Hope your day goes well. Like, subscribe if you want to. Or not. It's your choice. Alright, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.